What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to the Morning View. Happy Friday. Happy build up to another game day. Happy everything. Happy Man United. Happy Man United. Good morning. Get your cup of tea, get your cup of coffee, get your hot chocolate. Get what you get, because I think we're about to enter into something that we thought we'd never enter into again. I've got a feeling.
Oh,
I've got a feeling.
What's that? What's that?
I've got a feeling. I think the Frankie de Jong thing will be back. I do.
Well, you know what? I don't like to be that person that says, like, I told you so, I told you so. But whenever you've asked, whenever people have asked throughout, since last summer, I've said, look, I don't want to go through it again, but I feel like it's going to happen. Because guess what? Eric likes him. And what Eric wants, Eric gets. Okay? Did you see the way he was talking about him? Did you see the way he was talking about him in those press conferences? Anyone would be lucky to have Frankie. Anyone would want him.
Yeah,
he made sure. And he got welcomed to Manchester with a ball to the chest, or a ball to the stomach by Bruno Fernandes. Said welcome, and then he got up and he had a look around. He went, oh, "I like this place. This feels like a place of victory, a place of winners." Maybe it's back on again.
Exactly. I mean, look, we are scarred from the summer. It is something that we didn't want to talk about. It's a name that we never really wanted to have to say again. But what we have to say is, there has been developing news about Barcelona's financial situation again, which has led to this story kind of being a story. We're going to be talking about David De Gea as well, in the midst of like so much happening yesterday, and the fallout from beating West Ham, and then the fallout from the Carabao Cup. Some stuff has been kind of missed. We've all been kind of focused on how well we're doing, the games, the comebacks, etc., etc. Yesterday was quite a big development with David De Gea, or a good piece of information that we can definitely discuss. We're going to talk about Garnacho as well. Obviously, we were talking about him all yesterday in the aftermath of him getting the last-minute winner against West Ham, but there's some contract stuff on him. And this morning as well, breaking some stuff on Sabitzer as well. So a jam-packed morning view. Let's get straight into the Frankie de Jong situation and what Barcelona are saying. And just before you do that, first super chat of the day. There's two so far. Georgia says clean cut settings. Clean cut, man.
Who are they referring to? Who are they referring to?
Actually, yeah, you've got a bit of a clean cut. It could be. It could be.
No, it's not. You know what? I'm in a bit of a dilemma when it comes to my hair. You know why? Because I said at an early stage of the season that I'd shave my head if we won the league under Eric Ten Hag. And because it feels like, it could happen, I'm half within my mind just to be like, you know what? There's no point. Because it's being more dramatic. You know what I mean? But then my head does not go well if it gets very long. So I'm not sure about that one. But it's possible. Anything's possible.
Yeah, I get it. I had a little skincare routine, been, jazzing it up. I know you know about the skincare stuff. Little cleanser, little balm,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How long does that take you when you do it?
Not long. You just do like a face thing that has like an exfoliating in there, like a men's face wash.
Gotcha.
In the shower, rub it in, get a separate flannel, like kind of wipe it out.
Yeah.
Then you have like a special like face cream thing, like what the Kiehl's thing would be or whatever it was.
Yep.
Get it in the pores. Make sure you rub in circular motion. All of that stuff.
On your T-zone. And do you
on
use
the
your
T-zone,
toner and then
on the T-zone, exactly.
On the T-zone, then you use your toner, then you use your moisturizer, then you have to have, there's morning and nighttime routines as well, different products.
Exactly. I'm not that far in. Absolutely, but that's like next level.
Sometimes you've got to use your eye cream as well. Make sure that, you get the bags underneath your eyes, sometimes a lip balm. I mean, I know about it all. I just refuse to use it. Yeah. I'm the perfect salesman.
Owen knows exactly. Nathan says not smashing the like button on the way in. Red flag. If Frankie wants to come through, then cool. But if we have to beg, then red flag. I love the red flag. I think we need it. Like, what we should do is have it inside this, so we could just quickly. I think you've got it. I think you could. I believe in you. I think you can sort that out.
You know what? You've got it in your phone. I do have it on my phone, yeah.
Well, just load that into the thing so that we can always just press it if we need to.
Okay.
Just to have it there. It doesn't have to be now. It doesn't have to be now. Just at some point. Because that has been a big hit.
It really has. It has been a massive. It's been a massive hit.
Exfoliate.
No, come on.
I like that. I like that. Big up Lil Yo-Yo says, make sure you foliate. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Actually, I'll tell you a story just really quickly. If you haven't watched the match day vlog, make sure you do. I thought it was going to be UV Raw, but I got it wrong. It was actually the match day vlog. Out of 75,000 seats, me and Marcel and Joss, we were in the hospitality thing. We sat in a box. The seat right in front of us was Lil Yo-Yo in real life person. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yes, I heard about this. Yeah, tremendous.
Bro, out of all of the seats in the stadium, he was literally right in front of us. He turned around, he's gone, Flex. I've gone, hi, he's gone, Lil Yo-Yo. I was like, nah. So yeah, big up to Lil Yo-Yo in a real life. But anyway, that was a lot. That was a lot. Frankie de Jong, what's going on and why are we back in for him? Aminor, I will get there if I missed your super chat. Apologies. I will read it after Owen's done his first update.
Yes, so basically, a story's coming out this morning saying Barcelona could be banned from this summer's transfer window. They can only buy players if they raise £178 million. Now, you would say Barca, financial issues. We've heard this all before, but this is essentially what we were saying last summer, Flex, in the sense of they pulled all those economic levers last year to ensure that they could buy players that they could operate. I mean, they sold the likes of TV rights in order to afford all of those people that they bought, but they're still thought to be in debt to the tune of around £1 billion, according to Mail Sport this morning. Now, this is because of failure to stay in the Champions League, as well as being knocked out of the Europa League by Manchester United. It tightened an already tight screw around the club, with Barca thought to be relying on European competitions as a source of revenue. As of today, Barcelona don't have any room in its budget to spend in the upcoming transfer window. That comes from La Liga's chief Javier Tebas on Thursday in London at the Financial Times Business of Football Summit. Barcelona have been involved in questionable behavior, which has had an impact on La Liga, and we are acting accordingly. We have ruled that they can no longer sign any more players. They sold off £620 million in TV rights and tried to find different ways to solve the situation, but they won't be able to do that next season. We have strict economic controls. At the end of each window, we tell all the clubs in the Liga what they can spend. In the case of Barcelona, they have to drop from spending wages and transfers from £532 million to £399 million. So it's a budget of minus £177 million. They have to reduce their investment in players, and we encourage them to sell players because for every amount they raise in sales, they can spend 40% of that. Now, how does that include Frankie de Jong then? Well, it was reported yesterday by TalkSport. And again, I know you would say, well, you know, but still, it's certainly interesting when you consider this financial news when it comes to Barcelona. They're saying that Erik ten Hag has made Frankie de Jong one of Manchester United's top summer targets. Ten Hag hopes the Old Trafford feel-good factor as United beat Barcelona will help persuade the Dutchman to join the club. In addition to that, the prospect of partnering Casemiro in Manchester United's midfield is said to be an attractive proposition for Frankie to join in the summer. Now, Flex, that's a lot to take in, obviously. First of all, I mean, you could argue that's trying to sort of marry two situations that could be unrelated together, i.e. Ten Hag still likes de Jong. There's financial situations going on at Barcelona. Is there a bit of a leap in there? Possibly there's a bit of a leap in there. One thing's for certain is that Barca are in essentially the same position that they were in last summer, which, to be fair, we said at the time, right? We said, well, it's all well and good you're doing this, but I think even all the experts said, well, next summer you're going to be in the same situation. Like, there's no guarantee what you're going to do is going to work. And even if they win the Liga, there's an argument that it hasn't worked because they were relying on doing well in Europe to kind of pay their bills, if you will, and they haven't done well in Europe this season. But do United, this is the key question, do United want to get back involved in that whole drama again? Because the drama was last summer, wasn't it, that, well, does Frankie even want to come to Manchester? Does he even want to come to United? There's the deferred wages, deferred payments. Barca need the money, but do they actually need the money? They're going to have sort of creative solutions to it. Do we really want to get involved in all of that all over again for a player that still might be on the fence about joining?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because here's where I stand on it. Yeah, let's go with the air of positivity and how different 9 months can make. Because what was that? Is in August, wasn't it? So about 9 months-ish. Is that about right? Let's say when the de Jong thing happened and we didn't get him, we were scarred. We were absolutely scarred to the point where I said, I don't want to hear about him again. I don't want to see him again. I didn't even want to say his name because I didn't feel mugged off by him. I always kept to that. He was owed money. I think we forget how complex that situation really, really was. There was a reason why Eric Ten Hag stayed the whole time trying to get him. I do believe that it was 6 months. Sorry, I do believe that it was happening or going to happen. My feeling was, if I could get my money and all that gets sorted out, I'm open to it. But I think maybe the more it transpired that he weren't going to get his money and he was asking to take pay cuts and all this crap that was going on, I just think it just settled down and maybe we should have moved on quicker. But there's no denying that Ten Hag wanted him, Man United wanted him. I was told, we were all told by Man United that they wanted him. That was very, very clear, and there was an agreement in principle. Now we're better. now we're better. And it's funny how things work out. Now we've played Barcelona as well and done them over 2 legs. And done a number on Jong, to be fair, as well. And you see the videos that have been created to push the narrative of him taking it in, looking around the seats. Yeah. I was at the Barcelona open training session. I wouldn't exactly say I saw De Jong, doing that and looking around and going, wow, bloody hell. But we all saw that video of him kind of doing that a bit. And he's had a taste of what it's like to play under the atmosphere. So, and then we're good. And you're looking at our midfield with Casemiro and Bruno and Eriksen and whoever else. And you're going, oh, man, do you know what, man? This is the reason why Eric Ten Hag really wanted this kid, because he is good. I was watching Real Madrid Barcelona last night, which weren't your vintage game between both of them, actually, to be fair. No. It was very scrappy, and Barcelona scored a very scrappy goal and Real Madrid just couldn't break them down. But again, just like in the flashes we saw in the 2 legs that we played Barca, when you look at De Jong, the way he can travel with the ball, get on the half turn, press resistant, he just would be perfect. So on that note, it's like, if Eric Ten Hag wants to go there again and go and get him, especially if we've got new owners or whatever it is, if he wants him, I'll back it. But at the same time, now this is going to the negative side. We have to get this striker in. We can't afford another transfer window for the position we're going to be in, which is, I think, is a very good position. I think 1 other cup plus, 3rd minimum in the Premier League, let's say. I don't think we'll finish lower than 3rd. We'll be in a really good position, and we'll have to get this transfer window right with the striker, with another central midfielder. We've got to get it right. And it dealing with Barca after what they were like last year scares me. So to answer the question, I don't mind us going back in for him. I don't, because I just think if there's a will, there's a way. But as long as we got contingency plans, which the contingency plan was Casemiro, and that weren't bad, was it? Even though people say we stumbled across him and we didn't want that type of midfielder. We wanted a De Jong type, but we got Casemiro type. But I'm not opposed to it. If we can get him, I'm not, because I just think how perfect he'd be in this team. I'm not going to lie.
Can I say a couple of things? First of all, I remember because again, because we did this story and this video to death last year, because it was every day and it was constant and it hurts, and I've got flashbacks. Oh my goodness me! But I remember, and you saw this too, a lot of these sort of Barcelona fans came out of the woodwork and would leave comments or talk to you on Twitter or whatever, and they'd say to you, you don't know what you're talking about, Barcelona, we're fine, financial levers. And you go, okay, wait till next year. And here we go again. What are they going to say now? It's all nonsense. It's all rubbish. Well, okay, first of all, pipe down when it comes to that. Second of all, what I do think we have to consider is that obviously, Barca have their financial situation, but we also have ours. And I saw something the other day. I think it was Laurie Whitwell I was talking to. I think it might have been Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville on one of their overlap things. And they were saying that almost irrespective of who, the owner is at Manchester United come the summer, whether it's this Qatari bid, whether it's Ineos, whether it's still the Glazers and they haven't decided and they got their injection of cash that they're looking for. Financial fair play may be an issue with Manchester United because, and again, we have to consider what we did last summer as well, is we overspent. And at the time, it was widely reported, wasn't it, that, that money that you spent on Casemiro and Antony, not only is that coming out of January's transfer budget, it's coming out of next summer's budget as well. And I saw Laurie Whitwell essentially saying, come the summer, yes, the discussion has been that United are looking for a striker in Osimhen or Harry Kane, but United might not even be able to afford that. Like the idea that we went for,
that was really interesting. Not a lot of people were talking about that.
No, exactly. A 3 million loan for Wout Weghorst in January and got Sabitzer on a low-cost loan as well. That wasn't just because the budget's quite dry now. It's because the budget's quite dry in general. And even if, let's say we got purchased by Sheikh Jassim and we have all of this money, it doesn't necessarily mean we can spend it because it's about profit and loss. It's about revenue. And those new owners, it's kind of similar to Newcastle's situation at the moment where they've got all of this money, but from an FFP point of view, they can't actually spend it at the moment until they get their revenues up. So we can talk here about, oh, what if Frankie de Jong was available in the summer? And maybe he would be available, but maybe we actually can't afford him. Maybe we can literally just afford one player in the summer if we're going to go for a striker. But even that, even the idea that we might spend, 100 million on Osimhen, we might not even be able to afford that from an FFP point of view. Like, I don't think many people, even within the club, actually know what the upcoming summer transfer window is going to look like, because from what Laurie Whitwell was saying, whether or not this is accurate or not, I don't know, but there ain't a lot of money that we can actually spend. So it might be great going, the De Jong chase might be back on, but it might be off immediately because even in our wildest dreams, we might not be able to actually put the money down to buy him, which again is going to be fascinating, a fascinating subplot to the summer transfer window as well.
It will be. And that was that when Laurie Whitwell said that, because I was watching that particular part of the overlap. And I went, hang on a minute, what? What? Oh, yeah. Like, if we want to spend like 100 million on Harry Kane or plus, or 100 million on Osimhen, and he's like, well, you know what? There's FFP, there's this, there's that. Man, might not be able to actually afford that. And you kind of went, you know what? We think there's this bottomless pit of money, which actually there isn't yet. There isn't. Look at what happened just now in January window. I know we spent big in the summer, but it does ring alarm bells. And I just think that Frankie de Jong is the perfect player for this system. He's the perfect player for this team. But like we saw when we went in a different direction and brought in Casemiro, Eric has an eye for a player. Eric's, the recruitment has improved. I know that people don't want to give credit to people who are still here, part of this regime that's made us so bad under the Glazers. But in the last year, you have to say something's changed. It isn't just Eric Ten Hag. I think the way, the types of decisions, even just getting Eric Ten Hag was good, And I'm not saying let's big up the Glazers. Of course, I must. Glazers out to the death, absolutely. But I'm looking more at like John Murtough and Richard Arnold and people who make immediate decisions, because the recruitment that we've got has been good. However, I think the spearhead of that, we can all agree, is because we have someone like Eric Ten Hag, and that shows how good he is actually. Because I don't think if Eric Ten Hag wasn't there, would John Murtough go, there's this lad called Martinez, let's go and get him. He'll be perfect for us.
Yeah,
there's this lad
clearly
called,
not.
He wouldn't, because he was trying to go and get Rabiot. Like, do you know what I mean? That let's not get it twisted. I know Eric Ten Hag was still there, but there was a point where we were trying to get Rabiot, and maybe Eric Ten Hag did sanction that deal. Maybe he did say, you know what, that's fine, get me Rabiot, and we just couldn't afford it, and it didn't work.
Well, we'd have gone for Pau Torres. We were going for Pau Torres over Lisandro Martinez. We wouldn't have Lisandro Martinez if it wasn't for Eric Ten Hag. Martinez would be at Arsenal. We'd have Pau Torres, and no disrespect Pau Torres, but he wouldn't have done the things that Martinez has done this season. I know that's hypothetical, but he just wouldn't have. No way.
Exactly. And like Love says there, he knows how to run a club, Eric Ten Hag, and create a good structure. With Oli, that wouldn't have happened. He's a yes man. But more so to the first part of Eric Ten Hag knows how to build a culture and a type of player. So Frankie de Jong definitely lies in that, and that's why if the manager wants to go for him again, then so be it. It could hurt. It could be a saga, and it's something that I definitely don't want us wasting the amount of time that we did last year. I definitely don't want that 100,000,000%. Because the priority, if we're going to track anyone and spend big next year, the main budget has to be on a striker. It has to be. If you're talking about that percentage of split, I would say 40% to 50% of the budget has to be the striker. We have to pay big for a striker. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be a striker that costs £100 million. I'm not saying it has to be Osimhen for over £100 million, or it has to be Kane for over £100 million. But it clearly, goals are the hardest thing to come by. They're at a premium. And if you want to get a good goal scorer, you have to pay big money. But it might be like a Thuram. It could be someone younger. It could be someone that, you know, is a bit left field that we just thought, you know what, didn't really think about that. You know, we didn't think about Casemiro. He just arrived. It was unbelievable. It was so quick when it turned to that. But we need an Erik ten Hag type striker. And I think that's got to be the priority. But Frankie de Jong, listen, if there's money there for it, mate, I'd have him. Of course, we'd all have him.
Do you want to be involved? Because I know things have changed from last year. Our circumstances are different, i.e. we're better, you know, on the pitch, and who knows what we can achieve this season. And next season, you would think logically would be in the Champions League. And that's a hurdle that was, by all accounts, an issue for him. He wanted to play in the Champions League. Irony of ironies, he wanted to play in the Champions League. Didn't play that many games, did they, in the Champions League this season? And then they got knocked out of Europe in the Europa League, the secondary European competition, by us, of all people. But we'd be able to offer him Champions League football. It's just, you know how that's going to go, don't you? You know it's going to be the situation of, does Frankie, he likes it in Barcelona. Does he have to leave? And again, if they're in a similar situation to last summer, what they will do is what they did last year, which they'll try and figure it out. As time goes on, they'll go, okay, we can sell Frankie for a lot of money. That would solve some of our issues, but what else can we do? Who else can we sell? What other levers can we pull? And then it came to the end of the transfer window, and realistically, they just pulled all their levers and they signed everyone they wanted to sign, despite the La Liga chief saying they've got to sell 170 odd million, or they've got to raise 170 odd million quid, or they can't buy anyone. Let's not be shocked when, come the beginning of the summer transfer window, they announce that they've signed 2 people or something like that, because that's what they were doing last year. When they were buying those people, everyone was looking around going, how are they doing this? And in the end, you know, they signed those people. So I wouldn't still be shocked, despite all of the noise this morning about how financially in trouble they are, if it's the summer all over again, to be honest. And they do end up buying players. Remember, they were, you know, according to like the noises, they were nearly bankrupt. They signed like Lewandowski and they signed Rafinha.
They couldn't even register them right up until Koundé didn't get registered for ages, did he?
Exactly. But they did it in the end. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be shocked again if they find a way in the end to do it. And as United should be cautious not to get involved in that and be like, well, okay, you know,
it would have to be.
We spent too long on it last year, didn't we? Clearly, because we didn't really do any business until
we
got Malacia over the line, and we waited because the narrative was we're waiting to get this one done, and then we're going to do the rest, and that did kind of set us back a little bit. And look, there's an argument that could be made. I don't know that. Because we spent so long on the Frankie de Jong deal, those first 2 games of the season, which we look back to all the time, you know, could we have been a bit more prepared if we'd have done our business a bit earlier, because we didn't focus on Frankie for the majority of the summer? That's something you can consider. And if you've learned anything from last summer, you would say, do we really want to get involved in all of that over again? Or do we want to do our business early? We've got our targets. Surely they would have had the targets they've been looking at all through this season, and not get involved in that all over again. Or a bit like last year, is it a case of he's so important? If there is a chance, we should just do it. We'll wait. I don't know.
Erik ten Hag, if there's a sniff that he's available, I think he goes back for him. I do. I agree with everything you said in terms of the process that it was, how cautious we've got to be, and the cutoff point needing to be earlier. You kind of want to say, which is not going to be possible with Barcelona, which is the only thing. You kind of want to say, is he available at the beginning of the window? Can we get him? If you can't, then move on straight away. If you can, make it happen. But this is Barcelona that we're dealing with, and it doesn't work like that. I just feel like with the squad being so good, with us being so settled, I think I don't think Erik ten Hag will be able to resist. I don't think Erik ten Hag would say, don't try again because of what happened last year. I think he would say, if there's a chance, I want him. You know I want him. I wanted him last year. The way he waxed lyrical about him during, you know, obviously it was his player and stuff from before. So I wasn't expecting him really to do anything different. But it did feel like I need to keep that relationship sweet. He is this is the guy. This kid is the kid, man. I just think if there is a genuine opening, even if it was like there was yesterday and we end up kind of chasing him again, I don't think Erik ten Hag will say, no, don't do it. Don't do it. I think Erik ten Hag will say, Frankie, yeah, well, we go again, we try, yeah. You talk to me, yeah, we see. I think he'll be that. We'll try. I honestly do.
But it shouldn't be the priority.
No, of course not, because the priority, like I said, the priority must be the striker, which I believe as well, forward thinking, Eric Ten Hag has got the top, you know, the 1, 2, and 3 on that list, maybe even 1 to 4. Knowing Eric Ten Hag, I think he will say. I think he would have said, "Please try for Osimhen or please try for whoever it is." I don't know, but he will have that 1 to 4 list, and that definitely is the striker. Because look, without Weghorst emergency loan, who's playing all the games since he's come here, Martial's still not back yet. You know, Weghorst, you're probably looking at. He probably obviously wants to stay. Keep him. I mean, just to have him about, if you give him a little contract for a year, see it just in the background, just as a different option. Good guy
on the bench.
Don't mind that. Exactly. Don't mind that. As long as you have the A game, the real A-star student of the striker, which we have to do. 100%. David G says, do you think there'll be an overhaul, as I can't see Maguire, Lindelof, Elanga, Facundo, Hannibal, Ahmad being happy on the bench and not getting minutes? Yeah, I do think there'll be an overhaul. I think one of Lindelof and Maguire will go. I think Maguire will. I think Maguire will go. I think it will get to the end of the season. I think Maguire will listen. He's no fool. He sees what the situation is. He sees that he is completely third choice, completely out and out third choice. And he will look at it like that would be, you know, because he comes in more so than Lindelof, doesn't he? Really, it does.
Yeah, I mean,
well, they come in at about the same rate. They both come in, but he'll look at it and go, think, like, the Euros next year. And
he'll think the trophy that we just won, I had to lift it with someone else because I didn't play it basically at any of the games, you know. And because he's the captain by name only, isn't he? And I think that I said this on Matchday Reloaded yesterday, and I almost feel bad for him because I watched him play in the week against West Ham in the FA Cup, and he just doesn't fit. Like he can't. I don't think he can do as a football player really what Eric Ten Hag would want him to do. Because again,
not just that, but also how good the other two are instead of him.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's killing him.
I mean, because he, you know, in the first half, Antonio goes through on goal 1-on-1. It's because Harry Maguire was deep. He wasn't in a line with Victor Lindelof because he can't push up that quick against Leeds away from home. Our build-up play was slower, not just because of Harry Maguire, but at the same time, he takes 2 or 3 extra touches because he's not as confident on the ball, you know, and it just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit right now for what the manager wants, and he needs to go somewhere else for the betterment of his England career. I mean, to be honest, I'm sure that even if he didn't play any games next season, Gareth Southgate would still probably pick him for the Euros because that's what he does. But you never know. You know, there are other defenders that might come up, and I think you're right. I think for the sake of his career, he would probably leave at the end of the season. Who knows? We're not getting 80 million. We'll probably I think we'll be lucky to get half, honestly. But 40 million is still decent money, and we're going to need it come the summer. So I think he'll go. And then some of those other people, I think,
could even be both.
What you think? What Lindelof and Maguire? You think they'll go?
It could be, because if you think about it, if you're Lindelof, you're not playing now. You're kind of coming in as a pair with Maguire when you're needed, or at most sometimes one of Varane and Martinez still play. Usually Martinez, and then only one of Maguire and Lindelof play. Then if Maguire leaves, we have to go and get another centre-half. And obviously, Eric Ten Hag is going to go and get a young, you know, quick, someone of a completely different profile to Maguire, someone who can play the game at Eric. He'll probably go and get a centre-back version of Malacia. Someone who's a little bit raw, young, up-and-coming, quick, tenacious, can play on the ball, He'll want kind of, you know, substitute versions of Varane and Martinez, which is difficult, but that's where we want to get to as a squad, where the drop off when Martinez doesn't play or Varane doesn't play isn't huge. You've got a young, you know, someone. I know we love Timber and we wanted him to come. Someone like that would be unbelievable, but I just can't see that happening. Say it was like a Upamecano, or, you know, when Badia Shields was coming through, that young, you know, next one, You want that. So if you're Lindelof, you're thinking, well, that guy's going to come in and then he's probably going to be ahead of me. So Lindelof's still going to kind of be in a... Yeah.
I think he stays. I mean, Sim says it there. Like, you got Jones contract expiring in the summer, so he's off. You've got Twanzebe probably off. That's already 3 centre-backs down. Williams, Tellez, they're probably going to go as well. Yeah, they'll go. So, I mean, to be fair, we're talking about FFP point of view. You would think there are going to be a few people leaving in the summer as well. So, I don't know. But to your point, I still do think we'd have to get in that third or fourth choice, the up and coming sort of 20-year-old centre back that you go
actual third choice.
Because Varane don't play every game. He won't play every game of the season. We've already seen it. You know, because you don't because he's injured, just because you can't, because you've got to prevent him from being injured. So you need that next in line, and it can't be Luke Shaw as well, because whilst he can play in that, he's also needed a left back too. So you're either going to have to get another left back, or you're going to have to get another centre back. It's up to Ten Hag.
And it needs to be, and really, it needs to be a left-sided centre back as well, because Lindelof can play left-sided centre back, and Maguire usually used to. But with the emergence of Martinez, you know, and him and Eric Ten Hag always wanted to, seeming like, especially in the bigger games, he wants a left-footed left centre back. You know, with playing Shaw there, if Martinez is not available, that shows us everything we need to know. And the rest, I think, which was in that super chat, was about you know, people like Facundo, Elanga, Hannibal, Ahmad. Ahmad's an interesting one, because you probably think he'll come back, have a good preseason, will be involved, and might get to stay. Which we see. Maybe in the Premier League club, maybe this time. Maybe a Premier League loan you probably need. Facundo, can't see it. That's the decision's got to be made there. And Elanga, probably a decision needs to be made as well, because I think his game time is going to just keep diminishing. Like you said, when you add Brandon Williams into that, who's, let's face it, he's never going to get a chance now. Never.
No.
He's going to have to
I think Lindelof, this is the perfect spot for him. I've always said I think Lindelof as a third or fourth choice, that is perfect for him. Not before, where he's starting every game, you go, you're probably not going to win titles with Lindelof as a centre back, but for a person that you go, okay, Martinez is injured or Varane's tired or whatever, and you go, Lindelof come in today. I mean, you don't see Lindelof's name on the team sheet now because he doesn't start every game. So when he's on the team sheet, you go, fine, no problem, because you know he'll do a decent job.
He is what Graham Souness should refer to as a steady Eddie. That's steady
Eddie. Yeah,
that is what he is. That actually is what Lindelof is. I think, you know, out and out starting every game. Are you going to win the top honours? You know, getting engaged in physical duels. Sometimes he might come out second fiddle, but with the ball at his feet, you know, in big games, he's probably not the one. But against, you know, your average opposition at home, the team's in a good moment, Lindelof can keep the ball cycling. He can win his duels along the floor. He anticipates quite well, and he's decent with both feet with his passing. He's quite a calming influence. But top level, you can see why we've gone up to the level of Varane and Martinez. So, but I don't mind. I've never minded Lindelof as a bit of a steady Eddie. The problem was he was paired with Maguire and playing every single game, which was a big problem.
Exactly.
Get through these super chats. Aminor says, has Flex decided to look trim version of Quinton? Yes, of Quinton. Yes, I have. Not Benny. Aminor says, Owen, if we buy Frankie de Jong, surely we sell Scott McTominay. Quick one on that before we move on.
I don't think we get rid of McTominay. No? I don't think so. I think he'll probably stay. I think he's a squad player and also academy player. You've got your homegrown rules as well, so I think he'd probably stay for another season. And I do think Ten Hag likes him.
Yeah. Mickey says, is the latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to Mickey.
The episode of Raw out.
New episode of Raw is out, exactly, with plenty more to come as well. Don't miss them.
It's an hour long.
An hour. It's an hour. An hour for. If you ever think what goes on behind the scenes at United View, I wonder what happens. Join the membership, and you will find out. Some amazing things happen. Hour-long footage of just pure unedited, just carnage. So enjoy that, members and members to be. SK says the maths for FFP is okay. We sell about 40 mil. We will have 200 mil. The amortization contract length has been pinned at 5 years, unlike before. Strong words from SK. I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't know about our books to that level, so I'll take your word for it. Big up to you. David G says, do you think there will be an overhaul, as I can't see Maguire? Oh, that's the one we just read. Nathan Joseph says, I have my reservations on Timber. He wasn't down to back the fight. Cass saw us get banged by Brentford and said, I'm on my way. Timber cared more about himself. Is that who you want in the trenches with you? I see why you're saying that. I see why you're saying that, but he's a young kid. He's a young kid, you know, playing football continuously, game in, game out. Did he think, you know, maybe I won't play game in, game out if I go Man United? I'm at a good spot. I've had a breakthrough season, a couple of breakthrough seasons where I've been really good. I've only just got in the national squad as a regular. I can stay here with Ajax, my team, and look at me. You know, I'm young. You know, I could go to a bigger club again. Maybe he thought that, but I do think Van Gaal, did play a part in that. But I wouldn't not get him if we wanted
Because
him
of
again
that.
and went
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't not get him because of that. But I hear what you're saying there, Nathan. Big up to you, bro. Kristen says, Castello Lucaba from Leon. Get Scout KG on it. I don't know who that is actually.
They're different people. They're not KG. It's the Scout. Different people.
Yeah. And I meant the player as well. Didn't even know the player as well too. Yeah.
Different people.
Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We've got a lot to get through, so we're going to pick up the pace a little bit. Nearly 1,500 people watching as well, so big up to you guys. Make sure you guys hit a like on the way in if you're just joining, or if you've been watching for this 35 minutes already and you haven't hit the like button, do it now.
Yeah.
We've got 200 and just under 250 likes and nearly 1,500 people watching. Come on, guys, we could do a lot better than that as well. David De Gea, new contract.
Yes, so this comes from Fabrizio Romano, who says negotiations between Manchester United and David De Gea continue in order to reach an agreement on a new contract. De Gea wants to stay. Contract was not extended with a plus 1 year clause, as Manchester United hope to agree new terms with a different salary. But it is believed that they're getting closer to this one being finalised. The De Gea one is such a loaded topic, isn't it? That I know that we've spoken about a million times here. Gut reaction, Flex, come the end of the season. Is there pen to paper on a new David De Gea deal, do you think, with lower terms? Do you think he stays an extra year or couple of years?
Yep, I do. I think he will sign. They wouldn't give him a 1 year with an option to. He's not like on a pay to play. That's really little. I think they'll probably give him a 2 year with an option of 1. I think they'll give him on reduced terms. Again, I'm not trying to go into this again and do this whole anyone who wants David De Gea is this. It doesn't need to be that. At the end of the day, I think he's still good. I think most importantly, Erik ten Hag still rates him. I still wouldn't rule out another keeper coming. If we get him on reduced terms, and because someone like David Raya or a young up and coming keeper, I know you can talk about they know they're going to be number 2 if David Gea is still there, etc., etc. But I do think the planning, Erik ten Hag's not stupid. I do think the further forward planning, i.e. the next couple of years, even the next 18 months, he will be thinking about where he wants to be in that goalkeeping position. The likes of Ton Heaton, Jack Butland, obviously been brought in. He may feel right now it's time to get the younger understudy in who could potentially be the number 1 in the future. Especially if David Raya is quite appealing, where he's not signing a new deal at Brentford. So that makes him available for about 30 million, 40 million.
Price.
Cheaper price. And it's like, let's get him in the door now. Explain to him that you are competing with David De Gea for that number 1 spot. And you explain to David De Gea also, we will be getting a new keeper to, keep you on your toes and look at where we go in the next 18 months. But as of now, you're still a top keeper. You're still the number 1 here. The team has got better with you in it. It's not like the team's got better, but David De Gea has just been left behind, not doing anything. The guy has saved us so many times this season. He's earned it.
And that's what's challenging, isn't it? That's the challenging situation, I think, with all of this, is that you have to negotiate and convince a goalkeeper that getting a new contract on reduced terms isn't something of a disrespect, considering, again, his tenure and what he's also done this season. It's not just about the past. It's also this season. He's played really well this season. You have to kind of convince him or explain to him, it's just because your wages are so high. It's not because, we don't like you. It's not because we're trying to force you out. We're not lowballing you, so you say no and then you leave or anything like that. We do really want you to stay and want you to keep on, but you're on like 375k a week, and that's crazy. That's crazy money. And I think there's an acknowledgement that he understands that that's crazy money. And I think you're right. The smart way and the right way to do it would be he stays on reduced terms, let's say 2-year deal. I don't think a 1-year deal, because why would you have this situation again in a year's time? I don't think he would probably want that. So let's say 2 years. And then to your point, maybe you get a Raya in and you say, look, it's De Gea's spot, but see what happens. See what happens this season. See if you can fight for it. See if you can sort that out. I mean, look, we still do have people like Dean Henderson on the books. I think he'll probably go in the summer as well, dependent on sort of Forest's status in the Premier League, if they stay up or not. But either way, I think he'll probably go. But I think that would probably be the right way to do it. Like you said, I don't see De Gea going. I know the people can have the discussion about the style of play and whether he's suited, etc., etc. All I know is that we played West Ham on Wednesday, and there's a really good chance we might not have been in the FA Cup anymore were it not for David De Gea. Right, he made some really big saves, and that's what he does. And I think, to your point, I think Ten Hag is happy with him for what he's contributing, what he's doing at the moment. I mean, he even said him by name after we won the Carabao Cup last weekend. He said, when you've got people like Casemiro, Varane, and De Gea, he referenced De Gea. He said they know how to win games, they know how to win trophies. So I think he values his experience and his tenure at the club as well. So I think ultimately it will get done. But that doesn't mean that his position as the number one is, completely secured or locked down for the next couple of years. Because again, if we get another goalkeeper in that competes with him, it might be different. And we might get this goalkeeper in that's, great with his feet. And we might say, oh, look at what we were missing. Or we might say, oh, wow, man, be careful what you wish for. So, and also we spoke about FFP earlier on as well, just to finish up. We spoke about FFP earlier on. It might also be an acknowledgement that, again, we can only buy one player in the summer. It might just be that striker. We can't afford to go out and get another goalkeeper in addition to anything else we want to do. It's easier for now, again, for another year, for us to tie down David De Gea next summer when we can actually spend money and we know what our ownership situation is. That's when we can go and do it. But it might just be now's not the right time.
Yeah, exactly. And we do have to take that into consideration because we've got this fairy tale story that the club will be sold by April. Sheikh Jassim and Qatar will come in, or Sir Jim Ratcliffe will come in, or someone from America will come in, or whoever it is, not the Glazers, hopefully, comes in, and there's a big pot of money to spend. But the reality is, like you said there, I mean, we just don't know that's going to happen, and you want to make sure you keep your top players in this uncertain period. And this is an uncertain period because we don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know how much money we're going to get. And David De Gea is one of our top players. It's as simple as that. I don't care about this other keepers, these other things hitting it 30 yards and 40 yards. In terms of impact in our team right now, David De Gea is a massive player. So yeah, I think Erik Ten Hag likes him. And it depends whether, if you go and get another keeper as well, like try to go and get a David Raya, depends if he says, listen, I've been at Brentford, I've been the number one. I've been playing week in, week out as a number one. I'm playing for Spain. My next move, I have to be playing. I need to be the number one. Then that's up to him. That really is up to him. Let's if you want to come and fight out with David De Gea and learn the ropes, what I mean, learn your trade, get a taste for it in the cups, the odd Premier League game, and see. Or does someone like David Raya go, nah, my next move, I'm good enough. Like I need to be taken. Otherwise, I may as well just re-sign at Brentford. And stay here.
He's involved at a national level. He might think, "Oh, is that going to hurt me at a national level?" I mean, you look at maybe someone like Ramsdale at Arsenal. He came in as a number 2. People forget about that. He came in, he signed initially as a number 2, and just very quickly worked his way into the first team, and they never looked back. So, sometimes as a goalkeeper as well, it's about betting on yourself. Going, I know that I might be coming in as a number 2, but I'll just prove myself. I'll get an opportunity, or I'll show in training that I need, that I should be playing. I'll play a game and they'll never look back, because the goalkeeping position is one of those positions whereby if a goalkeeper comes in and you don't concede, or you play well, or you stand out, then you'll just stay in. I mean, that is sometimes with goalkeepers, it is just about timing and a bit of luck that suddenly you get a run in the team and that's it, and people never look back. So, that's what maybe they might consider as well. But again, I do think that the financial considerations might be a part of this as well.
Exactly. Moving on, Garnacho contract latest. What have we got?
The latest is it's kind of the same, to be honest. But Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United have decided to accelerate contract talks for Alejandro Garnacho. The only thing missing is an agreement on image rights. United want it finalized before the summer, which, to be honest, we have heard that for however many weeks now, that it's just image rights that are holding this one up. But there is this expectation that it is going to get done. I think he's provisionally, or agreed in principle, as they say, a 5-year deal with Manchester United. I think his wages, his salary is going to increase over time, as well as he becomes more and more important to the first team. But Flex, he's already important to the first team. And I think we have to take a step back. I said this yesterday on Matchday Reloaded. We have to take a step back and think what this kid, I would say guy, but this kid is doing at Manchester United in his first full season. And it's not even a full season. He only really came into the team just before the World Cup. I know he was on the preseason tour, but he didn't play. And look at what he's done. He won an FA Cup tie in the week. He's got the assist in the Manchester derby. He's won a game in Europe through individual brilliance against Real Sociedad. And I just think it's wild.
One game against Fulham.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy that, there was sort of some weird criticism of him because he missed a couple of chances against Leeds. That is nuts.
Stupid.
He was at least he was in the position. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's stupid, and he wasn't even that poor in that first half of the Leeds game. It wasn't that bad.
No, he had the chances. I mean, I'd be more concerned if he wasn't in those positions. You go, he's just not doing anything. But he's in position.
What I will say is two things. Yeah, is one, the kid clearly has great ability. I think even if he has got a little bit of attitude issues, or a little bit of swagger, a little bit of confidence, arguably you need that type of character.
Yeah, look at
Man United, and if you're going to be, I'm not saying that he is the next Man United number 7. I'm not saying he is, but if you are going to be, those type of players aren't the number 7 at Man United. Isn't always, or isn't usually, the most prolific goal scorer. I know Ronaldo had times where he was prolific in a couple of seasons at least. But, when you look at, Cantona, you look at Beckham, you look at Ronaldo, etc., and you go, what is a Man United number 7? Well, they're someone who kind of have that X factor. They have a bit of presence about them. And he just possesses a little bit of that, the way he celebrates. People may look into it on the other side and say, oh, his mentality is, he needs to change his attitude a little bit. But he has a little bit of that bite that you need if you want to be a top player at Man United. He has that, the aura. There you go. Exactly. He has this bit of aura about him, a bit of like, I don't give a F aura. Do you know what I'm saying? And I like it. I really do. And you know why I like it? Because we have got the perfect manager to be able to tame it. That is the key.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Look at the squad that Ahmad had to come into, or Hannibal, or Jong, or Angel Gomez. The list goes on with these young players. And I'm not saying that those players have been as talented as what Garnacho is doing, but you think of them players, they had to come into a really unsettled ship, and now someone like Garnacho, firstly, can't cross someone like Erik ten Hag and has to pay attention and listen. And he's getting the fruits of that now. He is getting the fruits of that. He's getting opportunities. He's getting starts. He's getting brought off the bench consistently. Erik ten Hag is believing in him from, initially telling him, listen, you sort it out, or you ain't playing. But also, look at the team. Look at who he can learn off. Essentially, I know Ronaldo was a wally towards the end, but he was able to see how he looked after himself and just be in the presence of Ronaldo. I won't disrespect Ronaldo like that. In terms of looking after himself and being a professional, I know he done some unprofessional things off the pitch in terms of interviews, whatever. But in terms of looking after himself as an athlete, for a young kid to be around Ronaldo, that would have done him well. But then out of that, Casemiro, Varane, Bruno, real leaders of how to conduct yourself and how to be a top professional. All those things would have helped Alejandro Garnacho. And I think that's why we're seeing the best, not even the best of him. That's why we're seeing him continue to improve. That's why I think
it's almost harsh for him to be painted with this bad attitude brush that we've seen, because he might have missed a meeting in pre-season or anything like that. But as a youngster, you make mistakes. And the key thing is that, as a manager and the senior players, they go, you can't do that. And he learns from the mistakes, and he hasn't done it again. And again, because again, he's a kid. You know how rare it is for young players to come through an academy, a club like Manchester United, and just start playing in the first team. Most of the time they go out on loan. They have to have a season elsewhere. They're a bit on the fence. It takes a while. For the fact that he was in the Youth Cup final last season, and now he's playing in the first team, not every week, but he's an important player to this squad. That doesn't happen that often. And again, I think that the fact that he's been sort of painted with this, I'm not sure about his attitude, I think that's just people are focusing on one thing that happened in pre-season. And Ten Hag was asked about it in the press conference. They said, he didn't look happy when he came off. He went, well, good. I don't want it to be happy. Why would I try and change his personality? He said he's got belief in himself, confidence in himself, and he should. As an 18-year-old kid playing at Manchester United, the biggest football club in the world, you've got to have big balls of steel to handle that pressure. Senior players have come through the doors at Manchester United and not been able to handle that pressure. You need something about you. To your point, you need personality. And obviously there's a line and there's a limit when it comes to it, but to your point, said this before too, with this manager, I'm very confident he's got the ability to mold what at the moment is a ball of clay, and he can mold it into anything he wants to. And he's got the right, management structure surrounding him, right senior players surrounding him. And as fans, we've just got to support him. We've got to back him and say sometimes, he ain't going to play that well because he's young, he's inconsistent. But what he's doing at the moment at the age of 18, not a lot of people do that at the age of 18 at Manchester United. And when they have done stuff like that, they've gone on to become amazing players. And I'm not saying he's going to become a Ronaldo or a Rooney or whoever. But the point is that clearly there is a guy with a lot of talent there. And it's our prerogative to sign him down for as long as possible and obviously not give him too much too soon. But at the same time, back him, manage him, because we've got a proper player on our hands there.
Yeah, SK says, what I was trying to say, the reason we wouldn't spend 200 million is because of the Glazers and the board staying and not selling players. Big up Flex and Owen. Oh, okay, I hear what you're saying now. You think that they're going to stay as well and keep the money. Nathan Joseph says, the best thing about Eric is that going into the window, we all trust him. And even if we don't get the A1 signings, we know he has a plan, structure and philosophy. Haven't felt this for a decade. Exactly. If we don't go and get Osman, I'm not going to be like, this is what I mean. We always miss the big targets. Or if we don't go and get Kane, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's a disgrace. It's exactly what Nathan just said there. The same way how we went and got Martinez when I just didn't really look at him. I didn't really know much about him. Knew he was all right. Didn't know that. The same way how we even got Malacia, who's been a really good backup. Sabitzer, who we're going to get onto us in a minute. Weghorst. Ericsson, I know it was a free and you can say that was an easy signing, but it's a very Ten Hag-like signing. And then the Casemiro one. I mean, again, you may say that's not a traditional Eric Ten Hag signing, but every signing, and then you look at Anthony as well. He knew. Anthony's another one where we still want more, but I think he's still, when he's not there, we notice. Put it that way. When he's not there, we notice. And that is actually, considering Anthony hasn't hit anywhere near what I think his top level is and can be, when he's not there, we miss him. So that just shows you. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Sabitzer wants to stay at United.
Yes, this comes from Build in Germany from Kevin Bader, says, Marcel Sabitzer wants to stay at Manchester United. Sabitzer feels valued in United from the fans, players and coach, something he missed in Bayern Munich. If this continues, it could lead to a transfer in the summer around 20 million. They haven't said whether that's pounds or euros, but Sabitzer for 20 million, that would be a steal. And you know what? Again, I know it's not popular to do, and there's kind of this weird thing where you're not allowed to kind of praise John Murtough or whoever who's making the signings. But as far as deals go, when Christian Eriksen gets injured on a Saturday or something like that, and then you've got a couple of days left of the transfer window, and it didn't look like, bear in mind, actually, Eriksen got injured on the Saturday, or it might have been the Sunday, I forget which day it was. Then they had to wait 24 hours to find out what was wrong with Eriksen. They found out what was wrong with him. Then they had 24 hours to sign Marcel Sabitzer, and I think they did it in 12 or something like that. As far as like deadline day, last minute, we weren't sure what we were going to do. Signings go. Marcel Sabitzer on loan, I think, is right up there for what we could get. But again, with our financial situation, and to be honest, we haven't really seen the best out of Sabitzer just yet because it hasn't been the right time to really play him alongside Casemiro because you want to make sure that you test that out. You don't want to do it in big games. You don't want to do it against Barcelona or in a cup final. But now Eriksen's gone out, and we're still like, actually, our midfield options are there. Okay, we've got Casemiro, we've got Fred, who's playing a lot better. He's playing fantastically alongside Casemiro, and we've got Sabitzer where we go, even if it is Casemiro and Fred, you look to the bench, you go, bring on Sabitzer, no problem. What a player, problem. Great player.
Doesn't 20 matter million. Who starts. It's non-discussion, isn't it? 20 million for Sabitzer, you just make it permanent already. Like, you don't even need to see more. Like, for 20 million, you know what player he can be. We've seen little glimpses. I don't think. I know some people have said in the games he's played, he's looked unbelievable. He's looked, I don't. Yeah, I don't think that. I do think there has been a little.
Exactly that much. You know what I mean?
I do feel like it's easy when there's a new player when they're a bit of a breath of fresh air. We want them to do really well. I haven't seen moments of absolute brilliance. I've seen moments of steadiness, and I've seen little snippets of what I know he can do. But he hasn't reached anywhere near the level that his prime at Leipzig was. because he hasn't had the run of games, he hasn't had the time, which is fine. But as a squad player already, when you're looking at rotating between the likes of him, Fred, Eriksen when he comes back, and then next season, because we do need a top-level midfielder, whether it's Frankie de Jong, Bellingham, to probably not actually any of those two in the end, but you get my drift. It improves our squad. You want a good core of players that when you're swapping players around, as we've seen on Wednesday, when we play the players who aren't quite as good, who haven't been in the fold, it is a mixture of out of rhythm, out of practice, but also it's a mixture of the come down of ability. And I think Sabitzer would be one of the ones you put into the category of when he needs to come in for an Eriksen, a Fred, let's just say, because Fred's been doing really well.
Yeah.
A Bruno, the drop off isn't massive. Whereas when you bring in Maguire, Lindelof, and McTominay, and you take out Casemiro, Varane, and Martinez, the drop off is incredible. So even Luke Shaw to Malacia, there's quite a big drop off because Luke Shaw's that damn good, but Malacia is still okay. We can deal with that. At right back, the difference between Dalot and Wan-Bissaka isn't, for different reasons, isn't that big. It depends what game it is. We're comfortable with that. You get into up front if you're starting Garnacho instead of Rashford, or you're starting Sancho instead of Anthony, or something like that. The drop off, although Marcus Rashford has been up here this season, as you've seen with Garnacho, he can affect the game. The drop off is not big. So I think that's where we need to focus on next. Is we're looking like we've got a good starting team. The main thing that needs to start and change in the starting team really is obviously a striker. When everyone's fit, it's been Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno. You would argue that you can get one for Eriksen, that Eriksen can become the guy who comes in, and then you go and get the one, which is like the De Jong or a Bellingham or whatever, and they start next to Casemiro. Then centre-backs, we're fine, but we need better backups. Left-back, we're probably fine. Full-back, we're probably fine. And then, you probably make Weghorst permanent, keep him around the place, maybe. If he does go, not the end of the world. Again, I think we need another forward, though, because, again, we've seen what happened. We can't. That's another thing we've got to actually, just out of the blue, just thinking of. We can't just go and get that forward and think Martial's just fine. So we can just have that one forward, because inevitably, we don't know how Martial's ever going to be ever again after what's happened now. So you could spend big on say we got a Vlahovic or a Osimhen or whoever it is, they pick up an injury. Who's the striker going to be? Then we're going to go, shit, we need an emergency striker again or whatever. So that's why Weghorst will probably be good to keep about.
No, I agree. I think I agree with you with the Sabitzer thing. I think sometimes we have seen recently, and I don't know if it's just because, the new signing or, the cultured player comes on with the gloves, short sleeve shirts, all that kind of stuff. And then go, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. You go, no, I think he played well. And I think, I think he's been decent. I think he's acclimatized fairly quickly. Again, I don't think we've seen the best of him. I think he's a perfect player for when, next season, hopefully, if we're in the Champions League, which we should be, that Champions League group stage game, that might not be against the best team. So you rotate, but you're confident they can get the job done. I think he's perfect for that kind of game. You know what I mean? Cultured. Again, the drop-off's not that high. The strength in depth is there. He's energetic, obviously scored in the RB philosophy, the RB style. So I think he suits for what Erik ten Hag wants. Again, whether or not, these are just reports this morning that a deal could be easily done for 20 million. Because when you hear that, you go, it's a snip, it's easy. But if United are successful this season, then Bayern Munich might look at it and go, well, maybe we try and get a little bit more money, see what happens. But as of right now, like I said, as far as last day, deadline day signings go, I think he's been fantastic. I think Eriksen still, for me, is the number 2 next to Casemiro. I think that midfield partnership is so strong. And whilst Fred has done well and offers something different, and whilst Sabitzer offers something different, Ten Hag himself said it in one of his press conferences. He says, but they can't do what Eriksen does, like that, having that level of sort of cultured technique on the ball. You make up for it in other ways, and they do, in terms of energy and getting around the pitch. But at the same time, I think it's kind of been undervalued a little bit, I think, or underestimated. Just Eriksen's ability on the ball is something else. And I think we've kind of forgotten about that because Casemiro has been so good.
Casemiro's been good. And there's a reason why he started every single game. He played literally every single game, to the point where, okay, cool, in the 70th minute, 75th, he was starting to fade a little bit. You bring on Fred. It was working perfectly when Eric I do think we need to not forget that. And Eriksen will still play a massive massive part. Sim says Burnley will be back in the Premier League. Weghorst will go back to Burnley. That's an interesting one, because they probably will get automatic promotion. Vincent Kompany's done a hell of a job there.
Does he fit the company style at this point?
Exactly. And also, if you're Val Weghorst, I'm sorry, no disrespect to Burnley, he's just tasted winning a cup with Man United at the first time of asking.
Yeah.
Potentially more. He's played away at the Nou Camp, played home against Barcelona, played away at Arsenal. He's played all the games and is going to continue to play. Played at Wembley and won. And in my opinion, I told you I don't care about the judge. We're going to Wembley again, at least for a semi-final in the FA Cup. We are.
That's fair. Yeah. You think about it, because you've got Fulham at home. You would expect United to win that one. Then it's Wembley, yeah.
So we're going to Wembley at least one more time. And I don't care who we get. No, I don't care. I don't care. If you lose, you lose. I'm
just saying. I'm just saying, when you think about it,
Yeah, mate. And I don't care if we get Man City in the semi-final or the final, whatever. We've got to play them once. And a one-off game at Wembley, obviously we can beat them. So I don't give a crap, mate. We're going Wembley again. And what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Weghorst. He's going to play. He's going to play. Yeah. It will be interesting before we finish off, though, because we've done all the topics. It will be interesting, actually, to see what type of impact, or if any, Martial can have in them key, because actually it could. You never know, how football is so weird and crazy and wonderful. This is a guy that's been out all season, and now Weghorst has come in and allowed Martial to really, like you said on a show the other day. Now it's like, you know what, we'll just play Weghorst every game, and it gives us extra time to give Martial even more time. Even if Martial comes and does the spotlights off him, even if Martial come and does the cameo thing where we have him back for like Europa League semi-finals, or I'm just thinking ahead here, or FA Cup semi-final, final, business end, last 8 games in the Premier League and we're still only 5 points off or something like that. Imagine that. And then we can actually like have him for 70 minutes, then bring on Weghorst, or, we can really just manage it. And he could actually, my question is what do you think? Do you think he could have a say over the latter thing, or do you think it's just a write-off?
No, he might have a say. I think, again, the key thing with Weghorst is that, so for instance, when Ten Hag goes before these press conferences for West Ham, for instance, Liverpool on Sunday, and they go, is Martial available? And he goes, no. Before, it used to be, bloody hell, he's not available. Who are we going to play up front? We're going to play Rashford up front. Is that the right thing to do? What are we going to do? Now, it's like Martial isn't available. They go, no, that they still go, look, what's going on with Martial? But it isn't as like, what we know what we're going to do.
Rashford or Weghorst up front, no problem.
Yeah, we know what we're going to do. So, and I still do think at the end of the season, I think a massive decision has got to be made about Martial, because I think even Ten Hag, he's got his limits. He's like, I backed him, it didn't work out.
If a big
but at the same time,
it,
exactly. The fact that we could potentially, we're in March now, and we could get, we're how many months into the season? Anthony Martial has not played 90 minutes of football. That is insane.
Man. It's crazy.
That is insane.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, really it's nuts. So, but to your point, could he have a part to play? I don't know. He scored goals this season.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime he has played in very limited quantities, he's even scored,
so he gets an assist.
Like, do you know what I mean? In the 20 minutes he's on the pitch, granted, but but what's really crazy is that we take it. Because the squad is settled. If he comes in for half an hour and gets the winning goal at Wembley, or does this or does that.
For instance, if he was on the bench against, like I said, at a Wembley final or semi-final, or a knockout game in the Europa League, or a game in the Premier League when we're playing whoever it may be, and you got 10 minutes left, you need a goal, you bring him on, and you'd think, he might get a goal. Exactly. So that in terms of that, he could have a part to play, certainly.
Yeah. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Great show this morning, big show this morning. So much happening at Man United, as there always is. I believe there will be a press conference later on that probably would have been recorded from after the FA Cup game. So we'll keep an eye on that for you and bring you anything Erik ten Hag says, which would be kind of weird though, because before Liverpool, you kind of would have wanted an update now. It's a couple of days after that game. Is Luke Shaw going to be back? I want to know that. We want to know about Martial. Could he be in the squad or some? So it's a bit of a shame that it probably
when
won't
they
be.
ask when they ask on Wednesday and they'll go like, "Is Martial available? Is Luke Shaw available?" The answer usually is, "Well, I don't know." It's 4 days away.
Straight up,
Exactly.
So unless we do get a live one, or one that has been done in like recorded the day after or recorded yesterday, maybe I don't know. But we shall see. We'll keep you up to date with whichever of those two happens anyway. And roll on. The build up to the big one. We've got some good content coming your way again regarding that. I'm out of here. We are out of here. Take care, guys. Peace.